Okay, let's talk about alcohol, which is technically a fourth macronutrient. Again, it has an energy value associated with it, a calorie value associated with it. 1 gram of alcohol is 7 kilocalories. But again, unlike the other macros, protein, carbs, and fat, it does not have any nutritional value or benefit to it. So it is non essential. You do not need alcohol in your life. So alcohol is fine to have sometimes. However, it's not ideal to have often. The body will prioritize breaking down alcohol first over the other macronutrients. So essentially it presses the brakes on metabolizing your protein, carbs, and fat because it does not like having alcohol in its system. Your body doesn't want alcohol. Again, it doesn't really have any nutritional value or benefit. And in certain amounts, it's actually kind of like a toxin. So the body presses the brakes on your protein, carbs, and fat and chooses to prioritize breaking down the alcohol first. So when alcohol is prioritized, your body stores your other energy sources. So therefore, you're not using them and their beneficial properties and potentially adding to your fat stores, especially if the alcohol causes you to be in an energy surplus. It can negatively affect performance, recovery, sleep. If you have body composition goals like building your lean muscle mass, losing body fat, and your overall health. So again, it is okay to have sometimes once in a while where it will not negatively affect you. However, if alcohol is prioritized in your life, then a lot of the other things are going to take a back seat. So, again, let's go over how you can build alcohol into your life if that's something you want to do and have it be okay. So if you do not struggle with alcohol, then once again, it is okay to have sometimes. But these are things I suggest when you're going to be when alcohol is going to be part of your intake. So I suggest creating a plan. This is really important, and a lot of people go, I'm not going to, it's fine, I'll just wing it. Create a plan. Decide how you want to go into the event, the party, whatever it is. Create a plan. Set a limit for your alcoholic beverages. Set a realistic limit. I'm going to have 2. I am going to have 4. I know this will differ on events, and sometimes that count may be a little bit higher, and know that if the count is higher, you are sacrificing getting other nutrition in and potentially sacrificing feeling good. But set a realistic limit that you are going to stick to. Be aware of the extra caloric values in your beverage. So remember, any mixers, juices, if it's a cocktail, those are going to have extra carbs in them. So the energy value in it, the caloric value in it is going to be even higher. So be aware of those things. Drink slowly, all right? If you're gonna have your drink, you should be enjoying it, right? So drink slowly, have water in between, and enjoy yourself. So when it comes to alcohol and tracking macros, there is a special equation that we're going to use to track it. So again, alcohol, 1 gram is 7 kilocalories, but there's no nutritional benefit for it. So because it's 7, it's in between carbs and fat, and we're going to track alcohol as either a carb and or a fat. So it's going to take place of your carbs and or your fat values for the day. You're replacing those things, and that's something you're going to choose to do if you choose to implement alcohol in your day. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the total caloric value or energy value of that alcohol. You will divide by 4 if you're counting as carbs. You will divide by 9 if you're going to count it as fat, or you can split the total value and then respectively divide by 4 or 9. And then again, if mixers or other added contents are in the drink, then those also need to be tracked separately. So let's go over kind of how to do this. So you can use Google to find total caloric value, be as specific as possible, and make sure that your amounts are correct. So 5 ounces of red wine is 125 kilocalories. I just Googled nutrition and red wine or total calories in red wine. Be mindful that 5 ounces is 5 ounces, not a glass filled to the top. So what your intake is needs to reflect the actual amount that you're calculating. So if I'm going to track my red wine as carbs, I'm going to take that 125, divide by 4, and that equals about 31 grams of carbs. If I want to track it as fat, I'm going to take the total 125, divide by 9, and that's going to equal 14 grams of fat. You can round up if you get a decimal. And then if I'm going to do half and half, I just take half of that 125, divide by 4. So if I wanted to do a macro split, my wine would be 16 grams of carbs and 7 grams of fat. And you can search your food database for red wine macros to count it, or you can build this as a food item in your database. Let's do some other ones. So IPAs can vary greatly in total energy value. I chose a specific one here. So Voodoo Hazy IPA is 230 kilocalories. That's going to be 58 grams of carbs or 26 grams of fat, or you can do a split, 29 grams of carbs and 13 grams of fat. Again, create this in your database and add it as so. If you have a mixed drink like a margarita, this makes it a little bit more complicated because you're going to have to do the macros for the tequila, the macros for the triple sec, and then any juice or mix that you're using. You can, again, create a food to make this easier for you, especially if this is like a drink that you have more than once. So break it down as much as possible. Or if you are at a restaurant, something that has a margarita, like their own thing, you're not really sure what is in it, but it has a calorie value associated with it. A lot of restaurants put that on their menus. Then you can take that total amount and divide that by carbs and or fat and use it that way. It's always going to be better to estimate than nothing. And finally, a hard seltzer, 100 calories, divide by 4 for carbs, 25 grams of carbs or 9 for fat, about 11 grams of fat, or you can divide how you want and do a split as you want. Do not track alcohol as just the item. And yes, it will take away from your total caloric value of the day. However, you are going to be essentially sacrificing your carbs and or your fat for the alcohol. We still want to prioritize protein and fiber as part of this. So when we're tracking macros, not total calories, that's your sacrifice. So make sure you are logging alcohol as carbs and or fat and not just logging in margarita, seltzer, beer, etc. All right.